Hey guys, how are you? Today's book is Tender is Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. And this book is basically a really chilling novel because it talks about it's made in a dystopian, and the novel basically explores the dark and unsettling consequences of dehumanization in a world where human beings are raised and slaughtered as livestock for human beings. It mentions a lot of cannibalism, and the story takes place in an unnamed society that has legalized the farming and consumption of humans who are referred to as special meat. And the protagonist, Marcos, works in a slaughterhouse processing human bodies for humans. And this novel follows his psychological perspective, his moral compass, that his psychological descent in a society. It also talks about the loss of humanity as society adapts to this really dystopian practice. The distinction between human and animal becomes blurred. The line between good and evil is blurred now in this book. So the novel basically suggests that when we normalize violence against others, we risk losing our humanity. Just like Nietzsche said that if you gaze into the abyss also gazes back into you. And like this relationship sort of between good and evil is continuous in the book. And Marcos, the protagonist, who at one point experiences guilt, becomes numb to the horrors around him. And sort of like when violence and power dynamics are mentioned, violence is a central motive in this book, and not only in the physical slaughter of humans, but also in the mental and emotional violence inflicted by the state and the societal systems, which is also done right now in the current time also. So the government in the novel controls the population through fear and oppression, and much like the way industries exploit workers for profit. And it also focuses on isolation of human beings, isolation of individuals, so that they do not communicate with each other, they do not share ideologies with each other. And it's sort of like isolation is another key theme in this book, as Marcos, the protagonist's journey into the moral confusion he is put by the society, and is sort of marked by his increasing emotional and physical isolation. And as he grows more distanced from humanity, he becomes an observer rather than a participant in the actions in any meaningful human connection. And the symbology in this book regarding the veil, the hidden things, how they're groups of people, they have been separated, is sort of like there's a recurring motive of covering up things, and both literally and metaphorically in the book. The humans are kept in cages which are for eating the special meat, and they're covered and hidden away from the public, so symbolizing the ways in which society hides the brutality that it is doing, and it sort of hides its actions. And this concept of the veil in the book, the concept of hiding things from the public, is basically, it represents both the societal ignorance and the complicity of the violence the society is acting upon. And it reflects how violence and oppression often occur in hidden spaces. They're totally hidden from the public spaces, and they're basically, these things are happening at the back, under the table, and those who are infected may remain unaware or indifferent about the situation, what's happening. And the act of keeping the violence behind a veil, behind the hidden part, is that behind a veil of mirrors, people know that it's happening, but they're still like not like they're just not observant enough, and they just don't care enough. And how modern day injustices are often swept under the rug and allowing the status quo to persist. In this novel, the line between human and animal is deliberately blurred. It's sort of like it's the society in the novel has made humans into animals, and yet animals are also commodified from their meat. And this dual symbolism explores the tension between the human desire for compassion and the societal normalization of violence. And sort of like the symbol of the animal in this book invites us to question how society constructs identity, and whether human life can be reduced to base instincts, and by likening the humans to animals. And the writer sort of like critiques this ideology, they critiques the ways in which society often strips away people from their dignity and moral standing, their moral compass, and making them mere objects to be consumed by the other people. The book is really dystopian, and you know, the characters are also in the book are really magnificently made, crafted to represent the consequences of of a dehumanized society, and where moral boundaries are eroded, they're just totally blurred, they're invisible to everyone, and individuals are reduced to commodities. And through characters like Marcos, and there's this other character, the female subject, they call it the female subject, the slaughterhouse workers and the faceless government figures, the writer sort of like illustrates how individuals both internalize and resist the violence of their world, but still do the work because they have to, because they don't have any other choice, or they're confused about it. And some who try to fight back, they're killed, or they live a really, really lonely life. The characters serve as mirrors for the reader. That is what I have observed, challenging us to confront our own complicity and in the system of oppression, and our capacity for empathy in the face of dehumanization. So yeah, I guess this is it about the book. It is a good book, but if you have the heart for it, because there is some really gruesome, bloody, when you read it, it makes you like imagine some really weird stuff, because there details how they're slaughtering the humans and all of that. So it is a good book. You should give it a read, and do let me know in the comments, and I guess see you next time.